All right, we're here, the Daily Telegraph NRL Podcast, and I'm afraid to say there's been a coup. There's 4 of us here, but there's somebody missing.
Fresh blood, baby.
Yeah, the takeover is on.
Who's missing? Is there someone missing?
Buzz is on old legs.
Oh, Buzz! Oh, I forgot
Old
about
legs.
Buzz. Yeah, easily forgotten about. Yeah, it's cast of thousands, eh?
Oh, what about this? Dave Riccio, Brent Reid, Michael Carianis. No Phil Rothfield.
No.
Says he'll be back next week, but
Didn't have enough chairs for us, so you have to have the throne. You demanded that.
that's fair enough.
Chair.
You should have said, if you ever get sacked from this joint, you have a future as a furniture removalist.
wow.
Should have seen him, people, just moving chairs around,
No, mate.
adjusting
Manual
things.
labor's not part of my...
Just the name of some Spanish bloke.
Exactly, Spanish tennis player. It's an oldie but a goodie.
How's things? You guys all in the checks, and Dave and I went...
You don't wear checks when you're recording
Dave,
on
I'm told you
television.
the secret to this shirt. I bought it online. You don't have to iron it. So I wear it quite a lot. It gets a workout.
Sounds like a Seinfeld episode, the non-ironing shirt.
Yeah.
Is bought it online a brag, or what's the reason behind that?
Charles DeWitt.
It's a Temu
Charles DeWitt, if
shirt.
you're out there and you're looking to sponsor a young up-and-coming journalist, Charles DeWitt, I'm here for you. Not iron. It's pretty good. It does, looks pretty... Doesn't look creased, does it?
It's not bad. It's not TV appropriate.
Did you iron that?
Honestly. Mobbsy, what's doing?
Tell you to take control. That's what Buzz would do.
Righto.
Can you take control of this show, please?
Can you take control of my podcast?
Should we do our... No, I don't want to do the best Buzz impersonation. I need to get Russell Jackson in, a very, very good impersonator. All right, let's get into it. Kalyn Ponga. My goodness, to quote the great Ron Burgundy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of control fast.
Man.
So we're sitting there the other day, and Knights fans freak out when a statement gets released on Kalyn Ponga. We all thought, oh God, the Roosters have got their man. There was truth to it after all. And no, Kalyn decides he's pulling out of the Pacific Championships, won't make himself available for the end of year tests, and the Knights support his decision and won't enter into any more commentary. Well, don't know if that's really their decision from now, because it sounds like there's a bit of trouble going.
Yeah, look, I sort of half understand why he's done it. Well, look, I don't think he's done the right thing. I think Kalyn...
Andre's adopted son has come in for the defence.
I think what the issue is, he didn't reach out to Mel first. He should have gone to Mel first, rung Mel Meninga and said, Mel, I really want to focus on the Knights. I prefer not to be considered for... And I think Mel would have understood. Knowing Mel wants guys who want to play for the jumper, want to play for the team. I think Mel would have accepted that. But the fact he didn't ring Mel and they just put a statement out, that's just, everything's just gone out of kilter after that.
Yeah, I'm with Reid. I think Mel still would have been bitterly disappointed, right? But at least the fact that Kalyn sort of fronted up initially and had spoken to him, I think would have quelled some of the angst and some of the vitriol that's coming from head office, because head office aren't happy about it. There's no doubt about that. They aren't happy with Kalyn. They aren't happy with the way it played out. They aren't happy with Knights supporting him as well. But what are the Knights supposed to do?
Can I ask a quick question? I noticed Kalyn's over here and he's looking in the opposite direction. Was that on purpose?
Who turned that around?
Can you see that on the video?
The bobblehead.
Kalyn
bobblehead.
There he is. Wow.
Little bobblehead. He's looking the other way.
He's looking the other way.
Great content for our
He's turned
listeners.
his back on the nation.
Yeah.
I think it goes deeper than that. I think the whole dynamics of the decision and the process of the decision, I think it has a lot of layers to it and a lot of intrigue, because we don't really have many father-son, manager-player relationships in the game. And this is how it unfolded with Andre having a meeting with Newcastle Knights CEO Phil Gardner, and emerging from that meeting was Gardner effectively ringing the football department to say, hey, we need to put a statement out or Ponga's camp will. And I don't know about you fellas, but I don't really see that conversation being had where managers and players are dictating to a club on putting statements out.
Could you imagine that happening at Penrith with Nathan Cleary?
Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine it happening. I
can imagine it happening, Mick, but it doesn't happen very often.
I just think that the Ponga camp should have lent on Newcastle a little bit more and planned it better and allowed Newcastle to put a statement out or whatever the case may be on Kalyn's behalf.
Yeah.
But I think it was all pretty rushed and that they just had to get their ducks in a row a little bit better before a statement went out.
It's hugely naive from the Ponga camp, but also to Phil Gardner. How you don't know the process of respecting the process is surprising from my point of view.
I'm sure they would have told Kalyn. Someone in that joint would have told Kalyn, mate, you should pick up the phone to Mal.
I think he was told.
Yeah.
Or at least
he was,
someone close to Kalyn was told.
Someone's told that Kalyn can't. Yeah. Well, I feel sorry for you. What are Newcastle supposed to do here? They can't alienate Kalyn.
No, I've got no problem with the Knights backing their man.
It's
I've got to say, if you're a Newcastle fan and you see that Kalyn's will himself to rep footy because he wants to win a comp and do everything he can to win a comp, I think it endears you to Kalyn even more as a Knights fan.
So when State of Origin comes around next year, he will be pulling out of that as well?
He's not going to play out of Origin, you know that.
Why? Because he wants to win a comp, though.
He wants to focus on getting his pre-season, right, Dave? He's missed a lot of footy the last couple of years.
His focus is to go and win the comp.
Yeah.
Origin is way more disruptive than 2 tests at the end, or 3 potential tests at the end of the season.
No, but it's about getting himself right to start the season.
Yeah, but
to then miss games for the Knights during the Origin period.
Origin is way more.
He might miss 1-2 games.
No, Origin. But then the flow-on effect from that.
But that's not what it's about. Him being right to start the season and start the season well.
Yeah, but
and that sets him up for Origin when he's not there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course it does. No, it's absolutely
that's gibber.
Ridiculous.
That's what he said.
But
that's complete contrast and confliction of what he's actually saying. Is confliction a word? No, it's not.
Confliction, is that a word?
No.
Is it what's more detrimental to Newcastle's premiership hopes? The fact that Kalyn misses a month of pre-season, or he has a month, 6 to 8 weeks interrupted in the middle of the season?
Well, he'll only miss 1, maybe 2 games for the Knights.
Interrupted, I'm saying.
What's that? What do you mean interrupted? He might miss 2 games.
He's not going to train. He's going to have to try and back up. He's going to be
that's why
tired.
it's important. He trains. He spends a whole pre-season with them. Does he not?
My question is the importance
of him spending the whole pre-season with them.
Listen, my question is, what is more detrimental to Newcastle? Missing a month of pre-season?
Yes, potentially, yes. So he's not right for the season to start.
Yes, you're kidding.
Is it? You're right.
Are you kidding?
Sorry.
What do you think, Mobbsy?
I might get up and leave. Because you're not respectful. I'm entitled to my view. I'm entitled to my opinion, David.
So while he's training with the Kangaroos and playing with the Kangaroos,
yes,
he's keeping fit.
But then he misses. He doesn't start the Knights pre-season until another 5 weeks after when he will.
That's
I get that.
Well, that's his point.
Yeah, but that's
so is the State of Origin period.
His point.
Okay, good.
Okay? But I get that point, but I don't understand your point where you think that a test against Samoa, New Zealand, Tonga, New Zealand.
It's not about that. Why is it about that?
Is more detrimental than playing Origin.
No, missing a month of the pre-season potentially could be more detrimental than missing 2 games during Origin.
But it's not just the games around Origin, it's everything that Origins.
But by then you've spent 5 months to 4 months together. 5 months together.
Yeah.
Well, then it's not that detrimental if he misses some training sessions around Origin.
I think Ponga missing games for Newcastle during the Origin period is more detrimental than
missing
him
a month of pre-season.
Missing him doing time trials and beep tests. Right?
Team Ponga, baby.
But this is not a sledge. This is a sledge on you, not Kalyn.
Yeah.
We're not sledging Kalyn here. We're sledging your take on it.
Okay.
I don't want this to be a 360 style 3-on-1 bash up.
It's a bash up.
Yeah. I think you're right.
We've all been there.
I know you guys are getting the fetal position now.
Sorry for having an opinion.
You are in that seat. There we go.
Yeah.
That's very Buzz-like.
Oh, come on, boys. Go easy.
So, question remains: has the honour of the Kangaroos jersey been diminished as a result?
No. People are saying this, no, because it's not going to be not a common occurrence, right? Like some people have tried to compare it to cricketers going to play T20 around the world. They're totally different arguments, right? Because how many players are pulling out a plane for the Kangaroos?
Yeah,
it's super rare.
Well, plenty actually.
It's super rare though.
Playing for Samoa.
But they're playing international footy, right?
Yeah, but they're pulling out a plane for the Kangaroos.
Yeah, I get that, right? But we're talking about.
I just want to make sure you get it, because that's not what you said.
Diminishing the Kangaroo jersey. Okay, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see a massive exodus of players.
Mick, what you're saying is you don't think we're going to see. It's not a common occurrence. The game has to make sure it's not a common occurrence. And that's why.
How many people are going to throw away a Kangaroos jersey?
But they need.
I think the bigger threat's the Pacific Island nations.
But they can't just throw this Ponga situation away and just say, look, you're sweet.
No, he shouldn't be playing Origin next year.
That's it. So there needs to be some type of parameter around players not willy-nilly pulling out, because the jersey will be diminished. But the standard will be diminished.
On the flip side of that, Dave, where do we stand on players that are going to pull out for Samoa, for Tonga, for Fiji? Because there's a heap of players that aren't going to put their hand up for those countries either.
Yes.
Where do we stand on those? Because
I stand on equal footing.
So what's the punishment? We're going to have like
half the
20 blokes not playing in round one if they're all suspended. Because there's a lot of blokes that we've heard that aren't playing.
The growth of the game is so important and attached to the international game.
Correct.
And so if it means threatening them with a one-match ban to start the season, so be it.
I just think I think it's harsh.
That'll go down like a lead balloon.
If it's the process,
that will go down like a lead balloon.
To be fair,
that's a war.
To be fair,
if you do that, that is a war.
Is different to the way Kalyn has handled it compared to your point, Mick, of blokes pulling out of Samoa, etc., Fiji, for legitimate reasons.
No, if they've got a reason.
And legitimate conversations and communication with those head coaches. This hasn't happened with Ponga.
No, the communication was the issue in this. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah. Two things. So one, I don't necessarily think that the Kangaroos jersey is going to be diminished. Sitting out there at Panthers training the other day when I dusted off the dictaphone and got out there because you blokes are on day.
That was a comeback. And some
one of the
gold.
great comebacks.
Well,
there's some gold too.
I mean, they talk about Alfie Langer coming back from England.
Can I just mention something about that? I asked Mobbsy, can you just ask one question for me? Do you reckon he asked? Did you ask?
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
But I had different people than what you needed for that answer.
Honestly, one question.
That's great to see him on the ground.
Imagine if we'd done that, Mobbsy would be, come on, mate, what are you doing? He'd be blowing us up.
Yeah,
anyway, move on.
Well, yeah.
I thought it was fantastic.
Are we doing right? So can I sit in your seat out there this week?
Yeah.
Pass.
Love you.
Careful what you wish for.
All right, so
I'll be there
with Andrew Moore and Luke Lewis at midday. I'll be down the sideline with
having a sausage roll,
Reedy. It'll be 30 degrees. I'll still be in a jumper because I'm cold.
And a beanie on.
Correct.
But the point being, I was talking to Liam Martin about end of season, and he said, I said I might try and get up to Brisbane for that Kangaroos Tonga test. He said, mate, let me know. I might see you up there. He goes, I don't want to get myself, don't say that. I don't want to put myself there too early. But he's desperate to play. Desperate to play for the Kangaroos. And there's some guys there that really see some value in that green and gold jumpers, which is great to see. It's just, at 26 years old, Kalyn Ponga has still not represented his country, apart from, unless you count the Nines
tournament.
The
NRL count the Nines tournament.
They do, don't they?
That's a cheeky
Thoughts
smother.
on that one?
Cheeky smother.
Well, he did play for Australia.
He played in that Nines tournament, which means that it rules him out of playing.
That sounds like there's some very good people in at the NRL.
That's an international rule, Dave. That's the international body.
They went to the big, big fat phone book.
Someone's found a sub clause.
Clause 704.
What we should do is go back and have a look at those 9 squads and see if there's been any other.
Yeah, that's true. I think you'll see a change in stance actually. What do you mean? From the Ponga camp and the Knights.
That he might play.
That he may potentially make himself available,
What, you're suddenly just coming out with this now?
I just thought of it then.
Just got a text message.
No, I think that the Knights have been reminded about how the rules work. And I think Kalyn's been reminded how the rules work, and I think you'll find him. I don't know this for sure, but I suspect there'll be some form of maybe a back down of some form. Wouldn't surprise me.
Would you pick him?
Wouldn't surprise me.
If he said, because I think he would have been in that original 21-man squad. It's around 21 or 22 players they picked. Last year they picked 21 for the.
I think it may have depended on Dylan Edwards, don't you? I think if Dylan Edwards and the way Teddy's going.
No, I think he's in the squad.
You reckon he was
They carried Nico last year and
as the floater.
As a similar role to what Nico would have done. Nico played a couple of tests off the bench, and I think Kalyn would have put pressure on Ben Hunt for that bench spot, or Connor Watson for that bench spot, whatever the case may be. I think he would have been in the squad.
Yeah, Ponga's in tremendous form, but the other bloke, James Tedesco, has been amazing the last 3 months.
Mate.
Oh, ridiculous.
Outstanding. I wrote that column about the Roosters, leadership void, and the blokes just stood up and shut that column up because he's led them.
Are you claiming you inspired?
No, I'm not going that far. He has been enormous.
He's been massive
as a leader for a club that has a leadership void, or will certainly next year.
Yeah, he's been great for them, hasn't he? I mean, at the right time of year too, and they've lost a few bodies with Sammy Walker and Victor was out for a while, obviously. So they've had some injuries, but he's sort of lifted his game at the right time of year for them.
He's been in better form than Dylan Edwards over the last.
Yeah, but Dylan's
No. I get that, right? But if we're talking, Dylan looks.
Yeah.
Like he's struggling with that knee a little bit.
Yeah.
But like when we go back on this Kangaroos #1 jersey, we're at the same. Like, what do you do?
What are you going? You're going Teddy?
I don't know.
I'd go Teddy.
I don't know.
Well, he has to be captain then too, right?
No, you got Yo, and you've got.
You can have Teddy in the team and not have him as captain.
No, I could have Teddy. But you've got options. It's not a fait accompli.
It'd be pretty crazy. Like,
to have him in the team as not captain?
No, just back in the to usurp Dylan Edwards after the Origin situation. But I wouldn't.
I think Dylan Edwards has got to be the fullback.
If you said I'm not going to sit here and argue either way.
Yeah.
I would
it's like that.
Really? Fuck, mate, have an opinion, mate.
I'd
That's what we pay you for.
I'd probably pick Teddy.
Really?
But if you say Dylan Edwards, I'll say okay.
Okay.
Like, there's not a bad choice.
No. Yeah.
No.
That's fence sitting.
It's a win-win.
Its best.
It is. It is. I don't know who I'd
classic win-win.
I'd pick, but Mao. We know how loyal Mao is to Teddy, and
that's the thing. Mao's big on loyalty, so I think that sometimes I don't say form goes out the window, but I don't think it's such as big a consideration with Mal sometimes as sticking loyal. But
they got belted.
They got belted 30-0 last year.
Did,
so.
And Mel said he's going to pay a lot more heed to State of Origin footy. He said that publicly a couple of times. And Dylan Edwards was the New South Wales.
Can you really though? Given, I mean, if that's the case, you'd pick someone like a Zach Lomax. But
Zach Lomax will be on the wing. Surely.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Dylan was on the wing last year, right?
Yeah, he can't play him on
You can take it as read. Madge saw that as one of the greatest weaknesses for the Kangaroos and went after it.
He can't play on the wing.
So he won't be on the wing.
No
because so we've got the squad, right? Yeah. That's online now and in tomorrow's paper for the 30-man players. And the wing options is Coates, Kiraz, Zach Lomax, Jacob Kiraz.
Kiraz is a massive bolter.
Selection in that Australian
He's
side.
He's had a good year, though. Great year.
Because the centre options are Trbojevic, Hamiso, Staggs, Bradman Best.
Well, Hammer could play on the wing, though.
Hammer could also play on the wing, so that might be the switch. I'm with Dave. They can't play Dylan Edwards at fullback or Jake. Like, one of those two need to start, and the other one's not
on the wing.
On the wing, sorry, yeah. Sorry. And then, there's Munster and Cleary.
Kalyn might play.
Maybe.
He might change his mind.
Munster and Cleary in that squad, but we don't expect them to be able to play for the Kangaroos.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Nene, ready. You said he's in some doubt. Val Holmes
he won't play. Jeremiah Nene, he's got all sorts of injuries.
Val Holmes also out.
Yep. With
that broken leg. But pretty strong looking side with a fair few debutants potentially. Australian debutants, not international debutants.
Nice distinction. That was very good.
Well done, Mick.
Back to you.
Listen, the other thing that's been bubbling along non-finals wise this week, Josh Addo-Carr. You guys report he's been granted permission to look elsewhere. There was a third-party inquiry. Explain to our audience the third-party inquiries as to whether a player swap or something might have been able to go ahead with a team like the Dragons and Michaeli Ravalawa.
Yeah, well, it's a key figure. I know who the person is. So it's a key figure unrelated to the football club, but extremely close to Michaeli Ravalawa, who has approached the Dogs and said, would you be interested? Particularly if you let Fox go to the Dragons, it could work as some severance, a bit of a...
Michaeli's been told he's free to leave the Dragons, right?
That's the other catch. Michaeli's been told he can go.
And what's he got left on his
next
contract?
Year as well.
Next year?
Yeah. Yep. So that's how it came about. I saw some Dragons fans, if any Saints fans are out there watching, listening, straight away going, Flano's trying to, trade his Datsun for a Porsche. And, I can tell you now, it wasn't Flanagan that was doing the communication or the pushing of this Ravalawa.
But he'd take it.
Suggestion. But no, I'm just saying, I just wanted to clarify, it wasn't Flano.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he'd take it.
You'd take it.
He wasn't protesting too loudly by the sounds
of it. It would be very much a Datsun versus Porsche, wouldn't
it? Yeah.
Look, there's still a little bit of water to flow here because we still have to get through the 5-day breach notice period of which the NRL have served Fox with only a couple of days ago. So I don't feel as though we're going to get an outcome this weekend as far as any termination or release or movement from Fox out of Canterbury. But there's no denying that they're going to move on from him.
So why are they moving on from him? Is it the incident? Do they feel misled? It's
a compilation of everything, Mobbsy.
He's got 1 year to go on his contract and paying a winger more than $500,000 a year.
Yeah, there's that. But he's also averaged 14 games over the past 2 seasons. And that's a major factor when you're paying someone $500,000, and particularly a winger. So there's that. And I say he averaged 14 games in the last 2 seasons. I'd be really intrigued to see how many of those 14 games he finished. There's been games there where he's come from the field. So he may have started in 14, but how many did he finish? $500,000 on the wing, 1 year left to go. They have obviously Blake Wilson in their roster that they have high hopes for. And then there's the off-field indiscretions, both of the Curry knockout last year and now this situation here where the Dogs feel as though they never got the full story from the start.
Yeah, because the Curry knockout as well, they'd learnt some aspects of that incident when Fox appeared on a podcast. Yeah. Which didn't sit well with the club, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's about...
It's these collection of issues.
The Braden Trindle example's been explained to me over the past week, how his misdemeanour off the field, he stepped up, owned it, said, guilty, this is what I did. Sat down with the Sharks and said, I need help. Take me out of the game. All right? All the Dogs asked of Josh was to be upfront and honest, and they don't believe that they were getting the full context out of this situation.
And furthermore to Dave's point, I think they'd already reconciled internally at the very least that they weren't going to extend his contract.
Yes.
Beyond next season, right? So this conversation, I think, would have happened regardless of the indiscretion.
Yeah. Because you saw that with Regan Campbell-Gillard, released a year early so you can get a multi-year deal elsewhere, which...
He'll land somewhere else. Someone else will pick him up. Once this is all cleared up, and I wouldn't surprise me if he accepts the NRL sanctions early rather than waiting for the 5-day period the 5-day breach notice period to expire. And then I'd imagine he goes straight to market and his agent has a look around and he'll have interest from at least 2 or 3 clubs, I'd imagine.
Potential suitors?
Dragons
is an obvious one. Parramatta's been mentioned. I didn't think they were interested, but maybe that stance might have changed. But there'll be 2 or 3, I'd imagine, at least.
And look at the start of the year when the Parramatta Josh Addo-Carr situation was floated. I know that they weren't against it back then, when they were looking for that backline spark for that.
They did sign Lomax since then, potentially, if that's shifted. But they got Micah Sivo. This is a similar situation to the Dragons and Ravawala. It's hard to have those $500,000 players or whatever. Like, Ravawala's deal gets up to almost $500,000 next year.
Yeah.
It's hard to carry that if you're not playing first grade, if you're going to buy over the top as well.
But the one thing, Riles, he spoke, and when we sat down with him, he spoke about speed, and what he wants is speed. Yeah. Speed in the middle, speed in the edges, and Josh gives you speed.
Yep.
So...
Interesting.
It's an easy answer for him.
Yeah. Well, on to Josh Addo-Carr's former team, the Storm, taking on the Roosters. Sold out, Amy Park.
How good.
About that?
Great result. Should have moved it.
How good.
MCG, night before the grand final. Yeah, there's nothing else going on that weekend.
No, that's good. Big news that the sell out there.
And they're expecting...
No, it is real. It is huge news because Melbourne comes to a standstill for AFL weekend. And for the NRL to have their shining moment with a sellout crowd focused on the Storm Roosters, the night before the AFL GF, I think it's huge. I think it's unbelievable for the game to get that exposure on a weekend where those crazy Victorians, seriously.
Well, Friday's a public holiday.
They don't know anything else is on usually.
They're expecting to break all sorts of records, viewing records down there as well with this game on Friday night. So it's a big night for that club. I mean, they've had a lot of big nights over the years, right? And the Storm, they won, multiple comps and been in multiple grand finals, and they're one of the great clubs we've got. But this is going to be a huge night for them.
Reedy, you had a piece on Harry Grant that appeared in the 8-page League Central lift out in the Herald Sun for the first time.
Grand final week, AFL Grand final week.
8-page lift out in the Herald Sun down there in Melbourne.
Wow.
I forgot this because, he's racking up 100 games this weekend. Harry Grant had 400 games between game 1 and game 2.
That was crazy, wasn't he? So he played...
400 days,
I think Cam was out.
Days.
And he said his first game, Cam was out. Cam Smith was out and he came off the bench. Brandon Smith was there then and started the game. And then obviously had to wait, as you said, 400 and something days. In his second game, it was the last game, I think it might have been 2019, last game of the season. And Cam Smith was they'd already wrapped up the minor premiership, and Cam Smith was going to come off, just play half a game. And he said the game didn't go as planned. And Cam, being the competitor Cam was, just refused to come off. So he ended up only playing 7 minutes in his second game. So, but I think Harry's year has just got, I think mid-year, he hadn't been the Harry Grant we know and expect, but I reckon his last 2 months he's been outstanding. And I'll tell you what he's been a great captain for that footy team.
I'll tell you what he's done.
Probably a better captain than a lot of people thought he'd be.
I'll tell you what he's done. He's adopted the Cameron Smith control of the referee mentality.
Really?
Have you noticed this? Let's keep an eye on it tomorrow night.
Don't start, Dave.
No,
you know they've got a horror record under Grant Atkins. They've won 2 of their last 7 under Grant Atkins. Yeah.
So let's keep it wide.
And the Roosters have a great recent record under Grant Atkins.
Yeah, the Roosters' record against
I reckon Cam's been tutoring.
You think he has?
Harry, on how to just play the ruck, talk to the ref.
Yeah.
Well, he's a polite young man, Harry.
He's a champion.
Yeah.
Absolute
polite
champion.
young fellow. Always addresses them with respect. Give respect, you get respect.
Yeah,
like on this podcast.
Do me a favour, keep an eye
Give
on
Mobbsy respect, you'll get some back, Dave.
Just do me a favour and watch it tomorrow night.
I have noticed there's been times where there's a bit of the Cameron Smith where you can almost be the third bloke into the tackle and the last bloke off, and you're just able to manage the tempo of defences at that point. So
he learned from the best.
But terrific. Look, question. This is a big ask of the Storm because they've got to do this without Cameron Smith. They've got to win a grand final without Cameron Smith. That's a big factor. They haven't really taken this step like they have this season since Cam retired.
No, they've played in the grand final. They just haven't won one. I think you look at that spine. You look at Harry and how well Harry's going at the moment. If you look at that spine, there's no reason they can't win it. There's absolutely no reason they can't win it this year. When those blokes play together, they generally win. I think when they played together this year, maybe they've lost one game or something this year.
Yeah.
So when the 4 of them play, they're nigh on unbeatable. And I think if they make the grand final, I think this will be a really tough test this week. I reckon they win it. They get through this week. There you go. Why are you smiling?
Can the Roosters spring an upset?
Why are you smiling?
Yeah, I don't know. I think...
You bagged me again?
No.
You got an issue?
I'm just not as excited as you are for Melbourne to win the grand final. I know you'll be cheering them. You'll be cheering them on.
No, impartial, Michael.
You love the Storm. But I think
that's why he's wearing a purple shirt.
I don't want to, Dave, cover your ears, but I think of the 2 games where they could cause an upset, I think the Roosters are more likely than the Sharks because the Roosters forward pack.
Thanks, Scoop.
The
Sharks are starting the longest price in 15 years of prelims.
I just think the Roosters forward pack can overpower the Storm.
Yeah.
I think the Roosters do have the edge in the forwards. Yeah. So
I give the Chooks a chance.
I think they can win.
I definitely do. But
I said that.
But
I wasn't listening.
Mate, you can't believe how bad Cronulla were to start that game. Now the Roosters can't the Roosters have to go down there and go, hey, listen, we're not starting anywhere near like that. But we're going to start and be in this game from the opening set. Now, if you are, I give them a massive chance. And the other point to that is they can't start like they started against Penrith either. So if they can correct that part of their game, Melbourne's form, the Sharks got back into that at 14-10 at half time. So I give them a huge chance, the Roosters.
Yeah. Very much looking forward to Nelson Asafa-Solomona versus Jared Waerea-Hargreaves. That will be... Although, thanks again to the Sydney Roosters for not putting Jared up for media again this week. The scariest man in rugby league, and they're too scared to put him up. Any chance?
I think that's Jared's decision. I think Jared doesn't like doing media these days. He does it very selectively. He would have done it 2 or 3 times this year, maybe.
I don't know if he
has. He even does post-match, when we're on the field to get him after games. He's very selective about who he talks to. Like he'll brush brush you, and then all of a sudden you look over and he's talking to Josh Morris.
Strong leadership's needed, Reedy.
Yeah.
Tell him, mate.
We need to crack the whip. Oh, yeah, no, that works. I'll bring my mates at the Roosters. That'll go well.
Are you back on the mailing list yet?
No, I'm still on the mailing list. I went to the media the other day. Spoke to young Joe Suoli, good fella. I'm looking for that relationship with Nelson and Jared. They've had some monstrous tussles over the years.
Yeah. What was Gordy trying to throw some bait in the water the other night?
What was it? What was he saying?
Was it they got in the blue or something?
Yeah, apparently they had a stink at Kiwi training one day. So it was the year that I think they had a stink on the field, and then later turned up apparently for the Kiwi squad. And, you know, they've said to each other, hey, we're all right, cuz. And, yeah, they've gone, yeah, good as gold. And then apparently Nelson's just ripped in him a trainer. And they've had to be pulled apart, had to be separated. That's apparently what happened.
Yes, it'll be unreal.
That's the story that's doing the rounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, keep an eye on the other one.
That story we have. You'll be in SportCon tomorrow. Enjoy it.
The other one of interest will be, have a look at Joseph Manu and Cameron Munster. Because there might have been an incident a couple of years ago where Munster hit Manu, and I don't think Manu's ever forgotten it. So I think
he was good. He was good on the weekend.
Best he's played in 3 months.
Yeah.
Before his
Joey
injury,
Manu,
he was back to his best. That try that he set up was ridiculous. He just looked like the Joey Manu, which has commanded attention with the ball, and he hasn't been like that the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So that was easily his best performance for a while.
Yeah.
And no concerns with. We're just watching.
That's another reason why they are a threat to Melbourne. When Joey's back playing like that, he's a difference maker.
And Teddy's in almost career best form.
Kiri's playing great.
Victor Radley, no concerns about his return.
Yeah.
What
He looked a bit tentative early, didn't you think?
Yeah.
And he sort of warmed up to the task.
He was really sore. Speaking of, he was really sore when he went in and got injected again during the halftime break by the same doctor that injected Cooper Cronk. They got him back for the grand final, and he could have come back out in the second half, but the lead was so large that they didn't need him. But apparently, there's no further damage or anything like that.
As much as I give the Roosters a chance, my small concern is the form line in this match. Like Manly were rocked.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely, they were.
If the Roosters,
that game was over after 30 seconds, unfortunately.
That's it, right? So you've got to be careful of your form lines of how dominant this win was.
Yeah. And Dave, I give the Roosters a chance, but also wouldn't surprise us if Melbourne win by 30.
Yeah.
I don't see a blowout in that game, but I give the Roosters a chance. And because the Roosters aren't going to play touch footy like Manly. Melbourne won't play touch footy like Manly like to sometimes.
Correct.
I reckon,
Well, Mick Penrith put 30 on the Roosters 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was a.
It's not without realms of possibility that Storm.
That was a 9.5 out of 10 performance from the Panthers in a time where the Roosters was their first game with all those players missing as well.
You had Tupu making uncharacteristic error at Crichton flicking out the back door.
This bit from Joey Manu is just like vintage Joey Manu to set up that try.
Very good player.
Very good player, yeah. Goes good.
So Panthers Sharks. You've sort of stole my opening line there about the Sharks any hope because you put Dave off with.
Well, they're a hope because they're a gritty side, right?
Jeez.
And
they're a fighter's chance. There's no denying that. Like, I was thinking about this, guys. If let's just say the impossible happens. Let's just finish. We sit back and go, well, and Penrith's sitting there. How will they explain why they got beat? And if you think about it, how many games has Nathan played now? 1 in 8 weeks? Is it? Am I right in that? Like, how many weeks did he miss?
Yeah, so roughly.
So roughly, right? We've spoken about Dylan Edwards. Is he carrying an injury? Right? We heard Mitch Kenny speak on 360 last night. He openly declared this is the most disruptive season the Panthers have ever had. A few weeks ago, they got beat by the Raiders in Canberra. They had to pinch that win against the Dolphins at home. Mm-hmm. This is a Panthers side that has been uncharacteristically had dips. Now, as dominant as they were against the Roosters in week 1, they need to do it again, of which they probably haven't done all year.
Yep.
Yeah, but they were just so good against the Roosters.
Weren't they?
I'll give the Sharks next to no chance. The closest thing to no chance as possible.
I'm not
a 1% chance.
I'm not as.
They might get flogged. Sorry, Fitzy, they might get
But
flogged.
Ruben, they might.
And I think the only thing that gives them hope, I think, is that he is a great coach, and he might come up with something
galvanising
that restricts the damage. But I just don't think they can go with it.
But the one thing, look, I'm with you. Like, as I said, the Sharks are $4 outsiders. It's the longest price in a prelim for 15 years.
I think it's too short.
Right. So the forgot what I was going to say, which is very rare. The thing that gets me is that they were so poor in that first half against Melbourne.
Yeah.
If they can correct that...
Mate, the second half was diabolical against Melbourne.
But that's because they had to do all the work in the first half. If they can correct that, and everyone knows you've got to stay with Penrith early. You have to stay. You can't give them a start. And if you go back to their prelims, when they've had a week off Penrith, they've gone down early. South's had them 12-0 up in a prelim. So if somehow the Cronulla can stay in the fight early, they're a puncher's chance. But other than that, Reedy's right. They could get spanked.
Well, the Ramian injury concern worries me because your back five were very good against the Cowboys. We'll talk about those form lines in a second, whether you reckon that's a great line leading into it. But your back five gets you plenty of yards, plenty of runs out of your back five there, which then, Braden, that allowed guys like Braden Trindle, what a performance he had. I mean, after the year and
so good.
The dramas that he's had to be able to turn that performance and take the pressure off Nicho Hines, but then you've got to be almost a 9 out of 10 again to try and pin Penrith down their own areas because if they get yardage and then Nathan Cleary gets his way with his kicking game, you can't beat a Nathan Cleary dominated game.
The saving grace with the Ramian injury is that it's Talakai, and what Ramian brings is yardage carries of 130 run metres per game. Talakai brings the same.
Yeah.
He made a State of Origin team playing at centre. He's got an ability to attract defenders. He's got a beautiful pass. I don't have a massive problem at all with Talakai coming straight into the centres. As far as I believe, I'm with you. Ramian's been huge, but Talakai is a like for like for me. But you're right. Like penalty leg ups, which Cronulla have been giving teams, it'll just kill them against Penrith. Yeah, they've got to be so disciplined.
Mick, where does Ivan Cleary sit if Penrith make a 5th grand final and win 4 straight?
He's still got another 15, 20 years of potential coaching in the NRL. So I think at the moment, Bellamy and Bennett are 1-2, and then
have they ever made 5 straight grand finals?
No,
or won 4 straight?
No, but Wayne's won how many premierships?
7. I would say the difference is they've rebuilt. Right, they've regenerated rosters over time. Ivan's in a purple patch now. Let's see when they have a lean patch whether he can rebuild and regenerate.
But the Broncos
over a 20-year period.
But the Broncos had that
20
team,
years.
That 92-93 side. Why they should have won more premierships.
Probably,
with that team. So Ivan's doing it.
But then he went to the Dragons.
There was a red hot Canberra team. You look at that Canberra side. That was not a mug team either. That Raiders team. It's just a shame those two sides never played in a grand final in those 90s period. But
do you know what I'm saying though? I think you've got to go through this period of he's in this patch now where this club's producing all these footballers, right? All these superstars, and they're superstars. That's why they're getting rated, right? And they've done a really good job to maintain that. But at some point they're going to have a dip, right? The challenge is in to rebuild their team and bring it back up and peak again, right? That's what Craig and I think Wayne have done to a certain extent.
It's just the longevity of the other two in terms of sustained success over more than 2-decade period, right? Yeah. That's the only thing that separates them from mine. And Ivan, as I said, in 10 years' time, he might usurp them.
But how do you, the thing that, I don't know if you guys take into consideration, the keeping the guys as hungry as they are
is huge.
That's coaching. That's down to Cleary.
So that's what Bellamy and Bennett have done the same.
No, they haven't. They haven't had 5...
Not 5 grand finals, but they've kept that core group hungry for an extended period.
Well, you just said they've had to dip and come back up and regenerate.
That was Reedy.
That was me.
Yeah. That was Reedy. Wayne and Craig. Craig hasn't had any dips.
What do you mean? Don't you remember a little thing called the salary cap crisis?
Yes.
That was a fair dip.
Yeah, but they largely... What do they do the next year?
Well, mate, they have to let players go after that.
Yeah, but they dipped because they were strict points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, they finished
You're talking
last.
dipping of a massive...
But they also had players had to leave because of that.
Melbourne... Okay, my point is that Craig Bellamy has not had a sustained dip at Melbourne, have they? They've always played finals footy. Right, except for the year...
But that's the point, right?
Yeah, that's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
I'm actually agreeing with you.
Oh, you are?
Ray.
Oh, right, yeah, good.
So, like, I've always been so angry for.
But you look at
He's an angry man.
Look,
Yeah, I am. I'm angry. You've attacked me.
Are you
once
hungry?
today.
You get angry when you're hungry.
Hangry, that's called hangry.
Yeah, are you hungry?
I'm a little hungry. I don't eat breakfast these days.
And this guy eats like a horse.
Yeah, but don't eat breakfast.
Mate, in
That's because
Paris.
I don't eat
Yeah, but
breakfast.
it's five-star though.
Oh
It's
my
not enough
God.
I could afford to keep up with him.
I know.
That's the thing. He's not a junk food guy. He's a Michelin star.
Body's a temple, mate.
Yeah.
Mate, you eat for Australia.
Rishi boy, go.
But you
son.
look at we talk about Penrith's dominance, but you look at the grand finals. They only just got over the line against South.
Yep.
They were within a whisker of getting beaten by Brisbane. It shows you how tough it is, and that's again down to the mentality of the team and the coaching of Cleary to show that this team's never beaten. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think Ivan, and I don't think you blokes are giving Ivan as the raps that he deserves yet.
It's because he doesn't have relationships in the media.
When we talk about the raps, I'm saying he's just below Bennett and Bellamy as who are the greatest coaches of all time. That's a fair
You're
rap.
just saying he should be on that level, considered on that level?
I think if they go to a fourth premiership, then he's up there.
He's up there. He's up there.
He does.
No, with them. He's with them.
And he might go past them the way they're going because there's no end in sight for this Penrith
It's because
roster.
Ivan does his own thing at his own steam and doesn't cultivate the media. And
But I wouldn't say I'm not close with Bennett or Bellamy, Dave.
Wayne won 7. Wayne's won 7 premierships.
That's a fair point, Mick. But
You know,
That's a few more than 3.
3 in a row.
what are we arguing about? We all believe that Ivan is going to be in the top echelon of coaches, and he's destined potentially the way they're tracking to be the greatest coach of all time.
I think Mobbsy's
but he's
clearly
not
he's
there
there now,
yet.
though.
I'm not saying he's there yet.
I don't think he's there yet.
But he's gone past. All right, so one of the like Trent Robinson, right, was probably always considered that next tier down. Those guys and tracking. I think he's gone past that.
No comment.
I think he's gone past that now, mate. Do you know what I mean? So that's the tier where he was.
You think he's gone past Robbo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Four grand finals.
Ivan,
Yeah.
he's gone past Robbo.
Okay, I'm with you guys then.
But that's what I mean. So now he's in that next tier up where you're talking like the coaching greats like Tim Sheens and Warren Ryan and
Jack
those.
Gibson?
Well, Jack Gibson's with Bellamy and Bennett, right? They're the trio. The holy trio would be those three, right?
Yep.
Ivan now sits with that.
You got him at 4.
I've got him with
that group of
Warren
4.
Ryan and Tim Sheens, and that group there is probably where I sit him at the moment.
Okay.
Right. Interesting.
I sort of agree. I'm
Right.
with you, Mick.
You got very quiet there, Dave.
No, I'm just...
He's got flat out one.
yeah. Betsy.
And Sorrello.
No, flat out one comp for Cronulla, that's why.
501.
Can't wait till 10 years' time having this chat with Riles, all those premierships at
Yes,
Parramatta. Can't wait,
You and
baby.
Reedy going off.
Oh, righto.
Right, man.
Should we get to listener questions?
Oh, what have we
Let's
got?
do only one email this week, so lots of ones from Twitter X. Steve wants to know, what are the chances of the Sharks against Roosters grand final? I personally believe it will occur. From Steve, I don't know.
On your Briggsy.
Briggsy, I'm happy to take your bet, but minimum stakes 1,000 if you want those odds.
What about you, Reedy? What are the chances?
Chances are 0.
May I remind, at this point, now that Reedy's declared the 0 and also the Sharks have a less than 0 chance of beating the Panthers.
I said 1%.
Oh,
Less
sorry,
than 1%.
1%.
You just said less than 0.
May I
No, I
remind
said
everyone?
less than 0 for
those
Roosters.
two,
I think it's very important to note where Reedy finished in the
Yes, that's true. That's a good point.
Well, I didn't finish.
Jeez, you've kept that one just until you needed it, didn't you? Oh, wow. I didn't realise I had that
From
one.
Paul. Michael, as a proud Aussie, I actually couldn't agree more regarding this Ponga fiasco. Focusing on Newcastle, he's already won the Daily M Player of the Year, potentially best player in the world. The clubs need to catch up to you. It should be how long the suspension will be, not if.
It's a very good point that he's got to focus on his pre-season for the Knights, where you've been the best player. The rest of them should be back to training tomorrow then to catch up with him.
Yeah. Well, they need reinforcements around him. I think they know that, right? That's why they're making some roster changes. I don't think he'll get suspended.
That's a very good question.
He shouldn't get
He
suspended
won't
from the
get. He
NRL.
can't. The rules.
I'm quite comfortable if they send him down from footy, though.
Really? Okay.
What would you like to happen to him? 0.
Just the stern talking to.
What? Put him in a corner and say, listen,
I think it's been explained.
clean up your room.
I think it's been explained to him.
Huh?
You can't go down
Can you
this
please
path.
go unpack the dishwasher for the next 6 weeks?
You can't make a bloke play for Australia. He's got to want to play for Australia.
So they had no repercussions.
What should the punishment
What
be
a great
for you,
plan.
Dave?
What do you
Hey?
got for
I'm with you on Origin.
Yeah.
How tough
And
are
I'm not
teenagers
saying
to
life
parent,
ban.
by the way?
Oh,
That just
shocking,
sounds like
mate.
I'm treating my son at the moment.
Mate, we need him. You can't take him
That's
away
what
from
Gordy was
Queensland.
saying. Gordy wasn't happy with that last
Yeah.
night when I
I
was.
saw that.
It'd be a different story if it was a New South Welshman, no doubt. Anyway.
All right.
We know
No
how to behave.
shins. Why should it be okay for the NRL to force players to play representative football for Australia, but also okay to allow for other clubs not to release players for other representative teams?
Fair question.
Fair question.
Very fair question.
And that opens that Pandora's box that we
Yep.
sort of alluded to with where do you draw the line? Is it because it's Australia?
Yeah.
Or what about the other nations that have players pulling out?
Well, they need to get international footy fixed. They dropped the ball after the 2017 World Cup. International footy was on a high for the next couple of years. They dropped the ball. COVID hit, and you've lost all that momentum. And it's a victim of the 27-round season, Origin, pre-season challenge, World Club challenge, everything bloody hell. So, yeah, until that gets taken seriously, and is it a case of, I don't know, do you package up your TV rights and try and sell it as a separate product and generate the cash to fund the other nations? Where does it all sit? Is it the NRL's responsibility to do this? It's got to be the RLIF.
I think payments are pretty equal now, aren't they, across the international teams, from memory?
Getting there. I don't think it's...
I think they're pretty tight.
Would it be parity? It'd be parity in I think the Pacific Championship. So those names like Tonga, Australia, New Zealand probably get
They all
the
get
same
the same,
pay,
right? Yeah.
but PNG and Fiji and Cook Islands would be getting less.
Yeah.
Case, can you explain to me why Adam G isn't refereeing in the finals? This is for
Can
Buzz.
someone get Buzz on the phone?
That is Buzz. That's his
There's another
his
question.
code name.
I don't care who's refereeing.
Nah.
I don't.
Referee's been all right in the finals.
Yeah, it's been good.
It's been fine. Yeah, it hasn't been a.
Fingers crossed for this
Except for
weekend.
that penalty try decision.
Should have been a penalty try.
Yes.
No.
I'm coming back around now. I think it should have been a penalty
There you
try.
go.
Originally, I didn't.
See, it wasn't clear cut, so you can't award it.
Yeah.
I'm
The
with
fact
you,
that
Mick.
it's a debate means that it shouldn't be a penalty try.
Good job, Mick. Solid work on that piece.
Thanks, Henry. It was very well read, Mobbsy.
Yeah. Not well received.
Not
though.
well received, but well read. Thanks to anyone that's listening. This is another question.
Who was
for
the
Buzz.
ex-coach?
Can't reveal on air
There's been a few.
or off air.
There's been a few.
Others have revealed it quite happily.
Who?
Not me. No one has. The people are guessing.
Okay.
Ex-coach.
There's a lot of former coaches
That have been just in the firing line.
who have been
A lot of
misidentified. Oh,
Anyway.
that was outstanding.
an email. Morning from England. I agree with the anger around Ponga not making himself available for the Kangaroos, but is there some hypocrisy? Watching 360 and people were talking about that setting a bad precedent, but haven't NRL clubs just refused to release Lebanese eligible players from coming over to France for a couple of test matches? Am I missing something, or is it just confirmation that people in the Northern Hemisphere feel about the NRL and Australian Rugby League that they only care about themselves and not the whole of game? That's from the UK.
Can you read that last line? What's that?
And if Buzz telling me his opinion doesn't matter as he wants Origin at the end of the season.
Oh, okay.
I actually wanted Origin at the end of the season too.
Hey, Mick, thanks for the email from England, mate. I love that.
That's going to come back to that point that we raised around ramifications for pulling out of minnow nations.
Yeah.
And if there's going to be any replica to what Kalyn is facing.
Well, is it Samoa going to England this off-season? Apparently a few Samoan players are pulling the pin.
Yeah.
So,
What's wrong with England?
What do you mean?
Be a good trip.
It'd be a great trip.
And they've only
I don't know why they're pulling out.
They played 2 tests instead of 3. They shortened, they've condensed
There's only
it.
2 tests now.
Yeah, I think last year's 3 and everyone thought that was
Apparently that's
a
because
little
Steve Crichton was getting married and all the players were going to his wedding. Did you hear that story? So they had to request the dates get pushed back because Steve Crichton's wedding was on. This is what I was told. So they had to change the dates because all the Samoan guys were going to Steve Crichton's wedding.
There you go. But he's not going though.
Great content.
No, he's not going because he's getting married.
Yeah.
What was your favourite dish when you were in England, when you'd go to those pubs?
In England. Mate, I love a steak, one of those steak and Guinness pies. They make great pies at those country
good pies,
pubs.
yeah.
With mushy peas.
No, I hate
With
peas.
mushy
Don't
peas.
start me on peas. I don't eat peas. I don't like the side of peas. Can't have them on my plate. If I see a pea, it Makes me physically ill.
Wow.
Peed off.
Yeah. But no, those
What about beans? Yeah, green beans?
I eat beans, green beans.
Peas.
But peas, there's something about peas I can't handle
Corn?
the texture. Corn, I don't mind corn, yeah.
You're a strange man.
Oh, I love a shepherd's pie and some
yeah.
peas over there. Yeah.
Did you have a Guinness?
No, I don't like Guinness, no.
No.
But I like Guinness,
me.
steak and Guinness pie.
Riveting stuff.
I want to give a
You had
shout.
a Guinness before, Mick?
Yeah. Yeah.
He drinks anything. Serious?
Oh, yeah.
Mexican night at his house.
Mexican night is a good night in my household.
I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine, Warwick, who's in the UK at the moment. He was listening to the pod, and I don't know if you guys listened last week, but went straight over his and Buzz's head because
we had a few people.
Buzz was doing his best Kiwis ever and Kiwi players, and I said Wal Footrot and
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Wal Footrot Flats.
I still have no idea.
You don't remember?
Yeah.
A few people have
That's a cartoon, isn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was.
Yeah, a few people have ripped into us in the comments.
Yeah,
on
crickets
Twitter
from
and
you
stuff.
blokes, and I've had a few notes saying.
I still have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's a kid. This kid.
Football Flats is a
He is.
cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a Kiwi cartoon?
Yeah.
Yes.
I never knew that.
Yeah. And Wal
Is it
Footrot got a game. Did he end up getting a
it's
game with the
Football, a person.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh my lord,
you
what
go.
he's doing.
So anyway, and I just thought because I got crickets from you blokes last week, and I felt like I was the odd man out. I just needed
So
some
it wasn't
backup.
your favourite Kiwi rugby league player or athlete? It was
It
just
was. I was
anything
making a
Kiwi.
joke, Brent. It was,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So it was
I love the
went over
ones,
your head, though.
I really love the ones
There
we
we
have to
go. We got
explain
some
them.
footage of
Oh,
it.
yes.
Oh.
Is that football right there?
Chase
No,
on fire.
it's the start of. This is the start of the show. This
Oh,
is
it's
the
actual
start-
show.
It got turned into a movie.
can
I
you
thought it was a
asking
cartoon in the
questions?
It is a
newspaper.
cartoon.
This is like reading editorial meters when I'm texting him, can you please stop asking questions
Is
so we
there a
can get
cartoon
off?
in the newspaper, Football Flats?
Yeah, used to
Oh,
be.
but they made a TV show out of it.
They made a movie out of it. There you
Wow.
go.
Movie.
There you go.
You would have been the worst at
There
uni
he
or
is.
whatever.
Oh, I know that guy.
That's
Yeah.
Wal Footrot.
Are you Shearer?
All right, this has to be some copyright infringement or something. Let me wrap that up.
Oh, outstanding.
Oh, that's a good angle.
Not since Dave Dobbin as a Kiwi.
Yeah.
became
Dave Dobbin,
impressive.
here, yeah. No, you know Dave Dobbin, right? You know Dave Dobbin? He's not happy.
Oh, I know that song.
Yeah, that's Dave Dobbin.
Dobbo. I do know the song.
All right. Are we doing anything for dinner, Reed, man? Given us
I haven't given it
No
a great
NRL?
deal of thought.
Why are you always surprised by this question?
Because I always forget to research for it. Think about it.
Research.
But I think, you know what?
Research for
I
dinner.
actually think I'm going to go all out tonight.
What are you looking
Oh,
about?
here we go.
Well, I don't know. But on the way home, I think I'm gonna stop in at Harris Farm.
Someone help
And I'm
us.
going to just do a bit of scouring of the shelves. I'm going to make myself a ripping my family.
I'd be so
Oh,
concerned
this is
if you went
terrible.
into the
That's the
supermarket.
worst.
It'd be like,
explanation ever.
imagine Reedy walking to the supermarket with no idea what he's buying. You'd been there for an hour.
Yeah.
Could happen.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know, but it's going to be
Are
good.
you going to call Buzz on the flip side now? So
I'm bringing him here like he did
Yeah.
last week to me.
Buzz was ringing Reedy for recipe information
Yeah.
on the shops.
show.
He was making chicken in plum sauce, and then he's ringing me. He was making chicken, stir fry, and he was in the supermarket. He said, "Sure, what do you think I should get? What sauce?" And he goes, "What about plum sauce?" I said, "Sure."
There's
get
no
plum
way
sauce."
people are watching or listening to
Then he
this.
wanted to mix it with something else. It was disturbing.
He buy
Like,
Canton.
I'll do something better than that.
Mamas
Do something better
making
than that. You can
canton.
guarantee it.
Doesn't
What are
take
you
long.
making?
We're having steak, veg.
Oh, I love steak. Good on
Yeah,
you.
so are we. Same.
You
I'll tell you what
have a
I'll
steak and
make
veg?
it right.
What are you having?
Sensory bow.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah.
That's dinner. That's an entree.
Nah,
Depends how much you make.
oh. Mate, you don't have to have a big, heavy meal. All right? You can have a light dinner.
Centro bow's not dinner.
Yeah, but you can have a few of them.
Yeah, you get
Quite
a few.
filling.
In a lettuce leaf?
Yeah.
What else would you eat it in?
Chicken minced diced.
A wrap?
A bit of mushroom diced as well into the chicken
Mushroom?
mince. They're really fine diced mushroom.
A chicken centro bow rather than beef.
Yeah.
Do you do the cooking at home? Or
When I can. Yeah.
Dave's got a pizza oven. I'm going to get one, I think.
can you have it? Can we come over for pizza?
Yeah, in the off-season, we'll have pizzas at my house with the all for everyone.
Nice.
All for the listeners?
Yeah, listen.
All right, so Brent's address is. Right, well, we'll see you next week for the grand final edition.
All right, gather
Does the
sharkies.
old boy get back on this?
He's on
Total.
rotation.
Oh, he's gone for
He probably
holidays.
cracks a start after this episode.
Potentially. Right, enjoy your foot rot flats over the weekend, and we'll talk next week.
Yeah.